Welcome, everyone. I'm pleased to see that we have participants from across the globe representing many areas of the coffee value chain, which we are going to propose to rename the Coffee Value Circle. This is the first in a 5-part webinar series entitled Regenerating Value Throughout Circular Economy in Coffee. This series is presented by International Trade Center's Alliances for Action program, the International Coffee Organization, and the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. Throughout the rest of the year, the series will explore how companies and organizations at different stages of the coffee value circle are implementing practices in circular economy to reduce waste, support natural systems, and generate new income streams. So just some housekeeping for today. We will have a Q&A feature. Please feel free throughout to ask your questions through the Q&A, and at the end, I'll choose a few questions to ask the panelists. And unfortunately, we don't have interpretation today, but I'm happy to share that in the next webinars in this series, we'll have live interpretation. This first webinar series presents the findings of our new collaborative report, Making a Case for Circular Economy in Coffee. This summary report provides highlights for the forthcoming joint report as part of the ICO Coffee Development Report on Circular Economy in Coffee. And this will include expanded data, case studies, analysis, and policy recommendations. It will be launched this September at the ICO Global Leaders Forum and International Coffee Council. I'm pleased to introduce our panelists for today's webinar, who are the main partners leading this collaborative work. My name is Catherine Oglietti. I'm the Coffee Guide Network Coordinator with International Trade Center and co-coordinator of the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. Dario Toso is the Sustainability and Circular Economy Manager with Lavazza and co-coordinator of the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee with Lavazza Foundation. Gerardo Pataconi is the Head of Operations at International Coffee Organization. And Alessandro Campanella is lecturer and researcher at Politecnico di Torino and Systemic Design Lab. And unfortunately, Alessandro is not able to join us today due to unprecedented circumstances, but he might be able to weigh in at the end, so hopefully we'll get to see him. This work comes out of the Multi-Stakeholders Working Group on Circular Economy and Coffee, which is part of the ITC Coffee Guide Network. The Coffee Guide Network formed out of the collaborative process in co-creating the 4th edition of the Coffee Guide. And we work through different initiatives and working groups to provide new resources and tools and share knowledge throughout the coffee sector. The Circular Economy Working Group began collaborating in February last year, and we have been building knowledge and mapping and identifying gaps specifically in circular economy. We have over 46 members from across the globe, representing different regional organizations, global organizations, and the private sector. Some of our milestones is we completed a global survey, which we're going to be presenting some of the results of today. We published this preliminary highlights report that we're also sharing about today and this webinar series. And individuals are welcome to join. This is a way to collaborate for those interested in circular economy and interested in these kind of conversations. Just reach out to me and you're welcome to join. This collaborative process of co-creation of resources and our work with partners, including ICO, Lavazza Foundation, UNIDO, led to the formation of the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee, which is a pre-competitive platform to put into action the recommendations, the best practices, and findings that are in this paper. So, what is circular economy and what does it mean for the coffee sector? Our working group developed this definition drawing from existing definitions, including the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and adapting it for the coffee sector. So a circular economy model for the coffee sector designs, balances, and implements regenerative practices, resource efficiency, and waste reduction while giving value to process outputs, achieving environmental, social, and economic sustainability. It is driven by a systemic and holistic approach. It draws inspiration from the dynamics of natural systems to regenerate, maintain, and create shared value for all coffee stakeholders across different contexts and within the entire coffee value circle. The way this is written, it is intended to serve as a mission statement for the sector, encouraging a mindset shift to rethink our processes and waste streams to create more value for all stakeholders. And so let's move to the next slide. So why circular economy in the coffee sector? Let's open our discussion by asking our panelists this central question. Why focus on the circular economy in the coffee sector, and why now? Gerardo, I'll let you kick off this conversation.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Dario, and all the participants today. It's of course is a several millions or billions question. Circular economy for coffee, circular economy, it is a great opportunity for the coffee sector. As the ICO, we have been promoting and supporting the idea of helping farmers, industry, and government to implement circular solutions to the coffee sector for basically three reasons. One is because it's good for the environment. Second is good for the farmers and their living income. And third is also good for also new generations. They find new opportunities from the coffee sector. While they tend to be pushed away, they may come back if there are more opportunities. So just the last point I'd like to make, in the last 2 years, we've been focusing, and then this partnership that Catherine just mentioned enabled the ICO to get more resources and more support, leading to a number of very important initiatives that we will discuss today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerardo. And Dario, from your perspective, why circular economy for the coffee sector?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Thanks, everyone. So why circular economy for the coffee sector? First of all, because coffee sector is facing a lot of issues in terms of climate change, in terms of environmental issues, but also in terms of economics. And a new approach like the circular economy one can drastically change the perspective of the coffee sector. So if we consider that a lot of waste has been generated during the whole value cycle, we can valorize this kind of waste into new resources, and then it will make the business more resilient. So there are a lot of pros for applying the circular economy methodology and good practices into the coffee sector. And I think we can have an opportunity today to go through these good practices and examples. And that's why also we established the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. We will talk in few minutes.
Thank you, Dario. To show, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So this quote from one of the practitioners in circular economy, Jonathan Duran from Copiagri, and who produces Naux. It's a product made out of coffee mucilage for both human consumption and for agribusiness. He said a circular economy can create better incomes and a healthy environment for coffee farmers by making high quality products and minimizing the environmental impact their processes can generate. And this quote for me encapsulates the why working on circular economy from ITC's perspective. It aligns with our vision and focus on building incomes and competitiveness for micro, small, and medium enterprises in producing countries through sustainable trade. My next question is for you, Gerardo. What are some of the coffee sector challenges that circular economy can help address? And what does the data tell us about the need for a different kind of solution?
Thank you, Catherine. And okay, let's take these two key points. I mean, as we try to picture here today, is that there are a number of constraints and challenges, and having the possibility to use fully the resources available by the coffee sector, where they are not exploited today, that it creates, as I say, great new opportunities. We've been also looking into numbers in order to understand how much the coffee generates in terms of waste or possible waste in brackets, and how that waste, there are a number of ways to transform that, as also Darren mentioned, into new opportunities, both for income and jobs, and reducing this environmental impact. Now, when we're talking about the coffee sector is one of the key agribusiness sector worldwide. 11 billion hectares of coffee land in the world. 3 billion cups are drunk every day, and of course there are 25 million more farmers that work out of that. But if you look from a physical point of view, the actual production, first of all, we have to see that from the cherries, with the origin of the coffee that we drink, this cherry can be transformed in two different ways, mainly through a wet or dry process. And within applying these two dry processes, we see that that generates a lot of again, in brackets, waste. And this is in different forms. The numbers show that if that opportunity to transform not only the coffee bean, the one that we're going to roast and then process, then to brew into coffee, but all the rest, it is an unspoiled, unutilized resource. So the more we go into the detail about the studies, we see that there are the opportunity and number of solutions we will also explore today that to transform that waste into an opportunity. The last point is, of course, I say we're not talking about a chain, or we're talking about the circle, but the coffee sector as a whole. Each step, each stage of the value chain or of the value circle, that this point has to be analyzed, and that's what also that is the purpose of the work being done within the alliance, within the different partners and the Circular Economy Center. Identify in each steps what are the opportunity, again, to transform a resource that it would be otherwise spoiled. My last point, and this is very personal, I first been exposed to coffee 36 years ago in Papua New Guinea. And one of the things that was the main problem that the husk was thrown into the river, and the river was dying. So 36 years ago, nobody thought about using that husk for something else. So they were throwing this, the river was dying, and that was one of the things that with the UN we were looking at. But now we see from a different perspective. This is not a waste creating an environmental damage, but that could be a resource.
Thank you, Gerardo. It's incredible to think at every stage in the coffee value circle, we can consider ways to design and reduce waste. The sheer amount of biological material generated just through coffee processing alone, and these are just the biological material, generates 39 million tons of biomass. That's 7 times the weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza. We're only using, in the end, if you consider the mass of the coffee cherry to when coffee is extracted into the cup, we only end up using, depending on the way you calculate it, between 1 to 5% of the original mass of the coffee cherry. So we're leaving a lot of value on the table just in terms of biological material. And another point to point out, the coffee plant itself is an incredible plant, particularly the coffee cherry. Each piece of the plant has unique bioactive compounds that can be used in a variety of sectors. The coffee skin, the husk, mucilage, silver skin, parchment, and even the spent coffee grounds after brewing all have valuable compounds that can be reimagined into new products and processes. So to make this more tangible, and I already see it came up as a question, let's talk about some of the examples of circular economy in practice. So let's start again with you, Gerardo. From your research and the collection of case studies we've been doing with the Center for Circular Economy, what are some of the promising examples of circular economy processes in coffee that you find particularly promising, both for environmental impact and also for income generation opportunities?
Thank you, Catherine. I think I say, there are a large number of examples where, from an idea or from a particularly entrepreneurial talent, these elements that you just mentioned are already being transformed into a new product, into a byproduct. So again, no impact, but actually an opportunity. And of course, as I say, we look into the chain of the circle. Let's focus on the first part, the agricultural side of the coffee sector. Well, as mentioned, there are possibility, and there are very interesting and profitable, because that's the key thing, examples where by simple technology, but just applying purely simple processing methods, we can utilize those biomass that you mentioned into new products. Then, of course, in a coffee husk itself is used, and is being used, and there are many examples as a soil amendment, substrate for vermiculture, so using in other production or other products. Then also can be used as filler for polymers. The water that is used when there's a wet process as well, that could be treated. So this is the part that is, I say, in literature there are a number of examples, but again, they are scattered simple examples. We have to do the critical mass. The other part is the coffee pulp. As we all know, the coffee cherry has this beautiful red pulp, and this has been used already even by traditional small farmers as a supplement to, or be in a soil fertilizer, to be used for animal feed, to do biogas and natural dyes, but also use as a drink, for another, again, producing the byproduct from coffee, becoming a new product, the new opportunity for income. So, and again, the details, there are many of these examples, and this is also why the Circular Economy Center will be able to provide those solutions to everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Gerardo. And to add to this too, we know of coffee cascara and cascara tea. That's another value addition that has been used in the coffee sector quite a bit. So over to you, Dario. What are some opportunities you see from your side, particularly on the roasting and packaging side?
Yes. So if we go to the other side of the value cycle, we know that we are producing. We did the calculation together with the working group and we came out that every year about 7 to 8 million tons of spent coffee ground have been produced in order to make about 3 billion of cups of coffee per day. So those kind of coffee grounds, and then have a lot of compounds that are still useful for many applications. Normally today they go to landfill or have been incinerated. It depends on where they are produced, but there are a lot of ingredients that can be valorized, and we have a good example of transforming and valorizing these spent coffee grounds into cosmetics, into food ingredients for making bakeries, into filler for textile, paper, plastics. So there are a lot of new applications that are growing thanks to startups and the innovation. We are also dealing with another interesting components that is or byproduct, that is the silver skin. During roasting, we are producing the silver skin, and again, there are a lot of compounds in there that can be valorized in many applications. And then we have to remember that all the packaging, all the coffee has been packed in different forms of flexible packaging, tins or coffee capsules. And fortunately, in the last years, there are a lot of good experiences in order to make this packaging recyclable or reusable. That is more complicated, but recyclability is a must today, at least for flexible packaging and tins, and then also for coffee capsules that are quite tricky to valorize at the end of life. So there are different options. We are seeing different solution for compostable coffee capsules that can valorize both the spent coffee grounds in there and also the packaging. And then there are other solutions like recyclability of the coffee capsule. We see the aluminum capsule that can be recycled, or even the plastic capsule can be recycled. So there are a lot of interesting activities and initiatives today in the coffee sector, and we are here in order to help implementing these activities.
Thank you, Dario. And to highlight, one of the interesting things that has come up in our conversations with our working groups and as we share about circular economy is that it is really exciting to talk about the value addition opportunities, the new products that can be made out of the biomass. But it's important to remember that that's only one part, and actually the last part in the concept of circular economy, the principles of reducing and designing to reduce waste and waste stream, thinking about that from the design stage. How can we design products thinking about their waste streams and how to eliminate waste rather than relying on recycling or even how it's going to be discarded. So recycling is a key part of it too. And these are all big challenges of balancing preserving coffee quality and what consumers want and convenience with also thinking about, well, how does this end up as a waste stream? I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about that, Dario, in terms of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, you're totally right on that. So normally people consider circular economy just as a waste valorization, but it's not that. So we stress in our definition that circular economy is an approach, firstly a design approach. So we have to think about a new way to think about the products and to design products in order to make the material circle and also the energetic circle as longer as we can. So we have to design packaging, for example, or products in a different way. So thinking about the end of life, but also taking into consideration the raw materials we are using for producing that. And reducing is the first rule. So we have 9 rules in the circular economy good practices, and reducing is the first. So the avoiding impact is the best one.
Thank you. Yeah, and and another thing to think about is with as we look at these different opportunities, what is then the life cycle of these new products that we're creating? So, are they recyclable? Are we creating more waste in the future? So it's quite complex when you start really applying the circular economy mindset to production processes and opportunities. So our working group conducted a sector-wide survey looking at the key challenges, gaps and opportunities, and also awareness and implementation of circular economy in the coffee sector. So it's kind of getting the pulse of where are we as a sector. I will say that we've had over 300 respondents. We've decided to keep, while we published the findings in this early paper, we're keeping the survey open. And so we invite you to complete the survey so we can hear even more perspectives, and we'll share that link with you. So our survey findings reflect 8 areas of the coffee value circle from 99 different countries. And the basic consensus is There is strong agreement that circular economy is a strong model capable of improving sustainability on all three dimensions: environmental, social, and economic. 4.3 on a scale of 5 strongly agree with this statement. There's basic to moderate knowledge. There was 72% of people said that they have basic to moderate or no knowledge about circular economy. So it's more that they have an understanding. We have an understanding of, okay, I understand this in as a concept, but not necessarily the technical knowledge to implement. And then that's where we see a low overall level of implementation. 37% said that they're currently implementing some circular economy in their operations. And they listed a number, you all listed a number of different barriers. We can highlight lack of knowledge and awareness, especially technical knowledge, the poor coordination between research. So there is a lot of research being done, but then application to the private sector and opportunities, and then financial constraints and limited funding to get this going. And related to that, limited infrastructure and technologies. We're talking about new products and services that all need to have their own supply chains, value circles developed. So with this, Gerardo, I'd like to hear from you, and from ICO's perspective especially, here are some of the key challenges that we have come up with from the survey, and then also from our working group discussions. What do you see as the biggest challenges in implementing circular economy in practice, and how can we address them together as a sector?
Thank you, Catherine. Yes, I mean, I wish we had magical wand and then make all this a reality, you know, and then in a few years, as I say, all this opportunity that we just mentioned earlier would be applied across the sector by all the farmers. So the farmer will have, of course, you know, as we say, a better opportunity for income and jobs. Now, of course, that is the, well, let's say the wish, but in practice, there are tools and elements and challenges that we can actually, if we can address those challenges, this process can actually be realized. It can happen. So from the scattered, a small example, very successful, to expand to the whole sector. Of course, what you need, and the challenges are regarding to policy and regulations, they're needed in order to government, country, regions, provinces, coffee landscape farmers, all of them, they need a strategic political support in order to enable them to actually use these resources. This is also very true for the downstream, for the end of the circle, especially regarding industry and regarding the way that waste is managed. The other, of course, is about, you know, having the financial resources and the knowledge in order to apply those solutions. As I say, solutions are available, but they cannot be easily done. You still need a small investment. Sometimes it's very small investment, but you still need to have that in order to implement, test, and then see the results. That is also about, you know, we say about byproducts and opportunity. Then, of course, these new products, we need to have a market. Market is there. We know you make cascara tea. I know in shops in many countries now that you can find it, in not only the coffee, but also that. So developing new market that will give the opportunity that these new products coming from the coffee industry could be actually promoted. And then this, of course, look into that. Well, the other point is that what about consumers? Because at the end of the day, as I say, 3 billion cups are drunk every day, but have consumers aware there would be another opportunity for having a more sustainable cup of coffee. That coffee is produced and is traded and processed more sustainably. So making consumers aware of this opportunity to do better with the coffee sector, I think would be also a challenge, a very big opportunity. And finally, I think, you know, that there are a lot of logistics related to that. As I say, coming from my very old experience throwing things in a river, you have you have to get organized to manage the circularity in every industry, but of course also in a food sector, in agribusiness sector like the coffee sector. So that is that everybody can play a role at the policy level, the financial level, at the government, provincial, and globally in order to to spread this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerardo. And and part of the challenge in thinking of creating new products, it's also developing those supply chains, and thinking about the consumer awareness in terms of the use of the materials themselves. So how do you, it's quite complicated to market, for example, a new food product that uses coffee pulp or maybe even spent coffee grounds. There's sort of this, ooh, what is that factor that also, consumer awareness, and really you can eat coffee grounds. That kind of education and excitement around it is maybe something we can come together as a sector to promote these products overall. But they might even be new markets that we as coffee professionals are not tapping into directly, and so working with new kinds of partners. So here are some recommendations, high-level recommendations that we came up with in this first paper. And as I said, we are expanding and deepening these recommendations in the ICO Coffee Development Report later this year. But so, question to both you. Let's go Dario and then Gerardo. What do we need to do to move forward toward a circular economy for the coffee sector? And how can we do so in a way that is more equitable and inclusive from the beginning? Dario, for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. We think about all the last year during the working group session, and I think one of the first important things to do is just to improve the knowledge and then share with the people of the coffee sector what are the main benefits out of adopting a circular economy approach. This is the very first step, and then all the stakeholders in the value chain will move in that direction, because if you think in another way from the linear perspective, take, make, and dispose, and you can see easily the benefits in terms of environment, in terms of economic, but also in terms of social aspects, all the value chain will move. And I think the value chain is rich of people that have a lot of knowledge and expertise, and they know how to do that. So knowledge first, coordination as a second point, and then implementation as the third one. And everyone will do its part from the policy perspective, but also from the let's say more practical perspective, the application of good practices in the field. And then, as you mentioned, we have also to educate the consumer to different tastes and different behaviors. So that my answer is to raise the knowledge first and then coordinate the action, and then let's move.
Thank you, Dario. Gerardo, what would you like to add?
Well, as I say, I mean, what Dario say is quite very comprehensive. Let's see from a perspective of the ICO, the International Coffee Organization. As I say, we started this process to look into circularity in the coffee sector over 2 years ago. We've been storms about regulations that also took a little bit of the scene. However, we are capitalizing on this knowledge, and the things is the government, they are member of the ICO, they are very keen in understanding and how to promote this concept. And as I say, if you go, we've been to some of the countries now, you go there, you say this little group of farms or cooperative, they're already doing regenerative agriculture, is a part of this process, who is maybe is thought as a cost, but actually is an opportunity. So transforming cost into opportunity is a general principle. So we need a strong government support and also mobilization of resources. I say, we're not talking about huge investment. We're talking about an investment who can provide an impact in order to become circular. The second point is that the interaction between public and private. And again, through the Coffee Public-Private Task Force, we have been discussing this a few times. Last year in October, we had the World Coffee Conference, which is every 5 years, and the theme was on circular economy. So even there, we have so many examples, say from the smaller farm to the largest of the coffee industry, keen and showing opportunities. So again, bringing all this together to scale and to be able to deploy not only the policy, but also the field level, that's the way to go ahead. And the last point, as you mentioned beginning, we have a series of webinars where we can go deeper and deeper also on this knowledge building process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. There are so many good case studies of new practices and emerging practices, and I'm so excited to hear about them throughout this webinar series. So, you know, what Dario and Gerardo mentioned of, there's a clear need for increased knowledge, for connecting research with practice, for coordination among the different stakeholders, for promoting enabling policies that we need to be able to move into these new markets and practices, and innovation. And that leads us to the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee, where we put some of these recommendations into practice. And I'm going to allow Dario to explain more about the Center for Circular Economy and how you can get involved.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. And I'm really happy to present you the Circular Economy in Coffee, the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. So the first things is that it's a pre-competitive platform. And this is very important because we came out with this idea of setting up a center, a hub, in order to share the knowledge. And in order to be more efficient, it has to be pre-competitive. So the ambition is to have all the coffee value circle into the center. And it was launched last year at the World Coffee Conference, but we are just launched the call for membership last week. And what are the main activities we are thinking about for the center? So they are mainly three. The first one is promote circular economy, culture, and knowledge. That point I stressed about a few minutes ago. So in order to develop courses, technical guides, trainings, in order to make all the value circle more aware about what is circular economy and what are the main good practices. In order to do so, we are also collecting and share good practices. We just launched the web platform last week, where you can find already some good practices. This is the starting point. We are so the ambition is to enrich and make it more rich of initiatives and also with other good practices. But the idea is to have a platform, a hub, where you can find all the information and all the ideas you can apply, and also a do-it-yourself tool. So for the more easy good practices, you can also just start by yourself. There is also a scientific board within the center, and it's very important because we based all of our good practices on solid scientific basis. And then the third action is also very interesting. It's pilot project and research. The first one we launched this year is in Kenya in order to assess what is the situation there in some region of Kenya, and then what are the main good practices we can apply for helping the coffee sector there to be more resilient thanks to the circular economy practices. And the pilot projects is done together with UNIDO, that is a main partner of the center. and also the Italian government. So I talk about good practices mapping. If you go through the website, you will find the first good practices we have selected. But again, we are here to collect the knowledge. So if you have any inputs, we are open to accept the inputs and then to elaborate and to join forces with other academias and research center in order to implement as much as we can these good practices on the platform. And then here are some pictures of the first pilot project and research. This is the field visit in Kenya at the Dankimati University Coffee Research Center, and where we did a meeting of the counterparts, but also focus group with the farmers. So it's very interesting, the approach we are trying to apply. It's based on the systemic design approach, and it's based on trying to connect all the counterparts from the government through the farmers and having all the perspective in order to see what are the real needs for implementing the circular economy good practices. And then what are the benefits for the stakeholders we can see? So for coffee growers and producer organization, it's an opportunity to learn, develop, and pilot circular innovation. We are also looking for funders and social impact investor because it's a pre-competitive initiatives, but we are looking for funders to help improving piloting and research. And then we are looking for research centers and academia, especially in the Global South, in order to make a network of experts of circular economy in the coffee sector. And then we are looking for coffee sector companies, roasters, and traders, and also retailers that can improve, implement, and share circular initiatives. Also startups and circular products. I mentioned before that there are currently a lot of startups that are valorizing and focusing on coffee waste and also coffee resources. And they came out with a lot of innovative ideas. And then the last one is no-profit association and government. So that is a big part, especially for the policy implementation. We are just launched the call for membership last week. The first round will be by May 31, but we will have other sessions, so do not hesitate to contact us at info@circulareconomyincoffee.org if you have any question or any doubt. I don't know, Catherine, if you want to add anything on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dario. Can you hear me okay? My connection started going bad. Thank
yes.
you. Yeah, as Dario is saying, you know, there's a lot of opportunity in circular economy and coffee, and the way that we're going to be able to address this and address the challenges that we've mentioned is through competitive collaboration, and we need to collaborate among the different stakeholders. And so by joining the center, it's an opportunity to meet and meet others in the sector that care about this, and see how we can work together, developing pilot projects, studies, sharing best practices, and really advancing and connecting finance, research, innovation with the coffee sector, and that's what we hope to do. So we hope that you'll join us. It is available for organizations, not for individuals, but as an individual, if you're interested in participating, the best way to do this is through joining the working group. So let's go to some of the Q&A. One of the questions I saw was, what do we consider coffee leaves part of the circular economy? Dario, do you want to address this one?
Yeah.
Coffee leaves or
Yeah.
the tree itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? There is already an answer, but yeah, coffee leaves are rich in bioactive compounds, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-hypertensive. So there are a lot of properties that can be valorized in the coffee leaves beside the fertilizer. So yes, there are already some good practices there, and yeah, I think it's a very valuable resources for the coffee sector.
Go ahead, Gerardo.
Just maybe just one element with regard to the policy dimension that I just forgot. Look at my notes. And the question of coffee and circular economy has been also brought to the higher level, one of the higher level in the world, the multilateral system. That is the G7 leaders, and hopefully will also be brought up to the G20. And the first part has been the ministerial meeting of the G7 ministers. In their communique for this year in Turin, as the Italians have the presidency, they first of all identify coffee as a key sector, and within the idea to launch an initiative, and key part of the initiative is regenerative agriculture and circular economy. So that means that is let's say at that level, the leaders are also supporting this process. So it's not just purely from a technical perspective, but also from a very political one. And it's something that I thought was important in this context to say that opening up and having a strong political backing for promoting circularity and regenerative agriculture, I think that would hopefully bring more resources and opportunity to do that at the large scale for the coffee sector.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So one of the building on that question about the coffee leaves, coffee prunings, one of the comments was, I think carbon credits from biochar is something that would well suit smallholder farmers using the prunings to create biochar. And I'll just say, yes, that is, biochar is actually often combined with other agricultural byproducts, so it doesn't have to be just coffee. But yes, the prunings, the leaves, but also to consider, I learned that the coffee tree itself is a hardwood. So this can be used as like beautiful furniture, railings. So something to add, something to think about is what's the highest value and also the best economic impact. Another question, comment, a lot of this is great, with a lot of real opportunities, but without consumer demand, this comes to nothing. Is there an element of this work that will look at reaching out to other industries to promote these opportunities? And how do we best message that? And on the other side, are we at risk of competing with other products? So replacing one solution with another that might be cheaper, rather than actually creating the environmental gain that we want to create? Who would like to take this one on?
I can start first. So I will start from the last one. Yeah, of course, when you design a new product based on circular economy approach, you have to consider the environmental impact. So it's not just getting rid of one material to another, but it's considering the whole life cycle. So a good circular economy design implies that you will benefit also in terms of environmental perspective. And the other one, I agree that is not just the coffee sector itself, because we are opening up to new application in the food industries, in the plastic industries, in the textiles, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a connection with other markets, and I think the demand is growing. From my perspective, as I see in the last years, because a lot of new industries, a lot of new organizations started to produce new products out of the byproducts, and so the demand is growing for this kind of application, and it's just a way, a need to connect to other sector in order to increase the circular economy in the coffee sector. I don't know, Gerardo, if you want to add anything on that.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so another question, and it's more a technical question. If you can speak to what are the emerging technologies that are being used to extract value from coffee waste products?
Yeah, it depends on which kind of waste products are you looking at. We are mainly talking about biorefinery for spent coffee grounds that are using supercritical CO2. This is a technology that is widespread, and it's the first biorefinery just was established last year in Denmark, in Europe, and supercritical CO2 is a good way to extract polyphenols, lipids, oils, etc. So there are different technology, and of course we are looking for the most environmental friendly. It's a word that I don't like, but that can extract in a natural way. Otherwise, if you look at the mushroom production in Colombia or other places, this is just nature that is transforming the compounds into the waste, from the waste into new products. So there are different technology, and I think bioinspiration is the most promising one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is true to highlight, there are extractive technologies that that are highly customized, highly technical, and at an industrial level and industrial scale. And there's also small scale solutions that, as Dario said, even mimic nature, that can be done very simply. So wherever you are in your stage and the value chain, value circle, and also how big your organization is and how big your waste stream is will dictate what opportunities there are. A final question is, how can we become part of this for circular economy? And I see a lot of interest in the chat. Dario, do you want to explain?
Sorry, Catherine, can you repeat the question?
How can we join the Center for Circular Economy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. That's an easy one. There is a website address in the slide. If you go to the website, you will find the application form. Otherwise, you can just write to the email info@circulareconomyincoffee.org. That's the easiest way to be in contact with us and then to apply.
And again, the first round of applications will be reviewing at the end of May, the end of this month. So if you want to be included in the first round, get your application in early and we can start collaborating. There's a lot of resources available at the Center for Circular Economy. And, with the technical question, that's actually part of what we're hoping to do and working toward is putting, and there's already some of these available, but also similar practices and connecting to research, and so as a resource for where you can find more information. I have one closing question for both of the panelists. So let's say we are successful, and in 2050 the coffee sector is implementing circular economy at a systemic and holistic level. What changes do you envision we would see? What does the coffee sector look like with successful circular economy implementation? Gerardo, let's start with you.
Well, let's focus on the economic part. Of course, this is one of the three pillars of sustainability. All the work done in terms of farmers' income, even though at the moment, with the high price of coffee, the situation may be a little bit better than it was in the past. Still, majority of coffee farmers, they struggle for their livelihood. The majority of the coffee producing countries, they are below at least the low middle income threshold of $3.65 a day. So that opportunity that all this, as I said, it's biomass, this opportunity to create an additional income for them. It's not just by intercropping, but just by using whatever is available, this produce. Making that process more efficient and regenerative also. This is a way to become more productive, because one element here we have not maybe tackled is that by applying regenerative agriculture, which is within the circular economy context, you can become more effective, you can be more productive, and then you can reduce the cost of inputs. So that is the other dimension that also will be explored. So the economic part is that at the end of the day, if we promote these solutions and they can be applied by many farmers, by cooperatives, then this gap between the aspired living and income can be reduced, this gap, and having more income through not to transform whatever is produced into, again, opportunities. And especially, say, the last point is about youth. We know from experience from a number of these projects, there is a lot of youth, young people behind who are very creative. They normally don't have major opportunity. Opportunity could be through circularity, and I think this is something that we should also all aspire and look at as an opportunity.
Thank you, Gerardo. And for you, Dario, how do you envision our future circular economy?
Yeah, if we have success, I think there will be a coffee value circle in which the concept of waste is no longer present. So that's my hope, and a completely bio-inspired coffee value circle where a young generation will move toward a more creative way to valorize resources we have. So that's the vision I have for a completely circular value circle of the coffee sector.
Thank you, Dario. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending today. This is a very exciting launch of our work, and this is just starting. We hope that you continue to follow along with this series. You can find information of how to link to the webinar series and also recordings of the webinars. We'll be posting them on the Center for Circular Economy resource page, so you can find them there.